In this video, I want to talk about a very simple system. It's actually the system that I use for managing my lead nurture process inside of my CRM. Hey guys, if you haven't met me yet, my name is Emmanuel. I am the founder and kind of chief talking head guy over here at Square One Group. But really our mission is to help you identify your expertise, aka your niche, and then help you scale your business using systems. So that said, really make these videos to try to help bring in some new business for you. So if and when you do decide to scale, you keep us in mind because we would love to work with you. Now, today I actually want to jam on with you about using your CRM to stay organized when nurturing your leads. But I want to start off with this. Tell me if this sounds familiar. You signed up for a CRM because you hear so many great things about it, or maybe you hear that you need a CRM, and then once you create a brand new account within said CRM, you kind of get lost as to what to do next. A CRM is no more than a hammer. It's no more than a tool for you to use to help build a super successful company. That said, now let's talk about the actual system. But in order for me to help you understand what this system looks like, I'd like to first lay out some terminology that we can both come to grips with, that we can both maybe agree with, and it works like this. You see, there's really three main terms that we both have to understand and agree upon. And as soon as we are talking the same language, then we can implement this actual system to make it a lot more efficient for you in the future. The first term I need you to understand, and the term that really we both need to come to grips with and define its similar meaning, so we're talking the same language, is the word lead. Now, there's a bunch of different definitions of what a lead means, but for the sake of understanding this system, let's make it super simple. A lead is essentially someone that has shown interest in working with you, but you have not actually communicated with this person yet. Now, the next term that we both need to come to grips with is the term prospect. And a prospect is no more than a person that has shown interest in working with you and that you have engaged with but has not converted into a client. So they want to work with you and you've talked to them, but you haven't done any business yet. Okay, lastly, I mentioned it just a second ago, the word that we both need to agree with is the term client. And I think we both can, or we all can agree that a client is someone that has agreed to trade our service for money. Okay, now there's something super important that you need to understand based off of these three very specific definitions. That is, each one of these types of contacts requires their own form of communication. I mean, simply put, you're not going to be sending new clients or maybe your existing clients the same kind of content that you would be sending to maybe a prospect or maybe a brand new lead. And look, it's simply because at the end of the day, some of that information that you might be sending one type of contact is completely irrelevant to the other. Additionally, if a prospect is talking to you and is actually interested in your service, you're not going to want to send them generic lead information or marketing. You're going to want to actually send them information that's more relevant to the exact problems that they're facing so that you can convert them into a client a lot quicker. But I digress. Now let's talk about the CRM itself. CRMs, they don't necessarily give you a proper framework, at least in my opinion, or an exact system to be able to convert leads into prospects and of course prospects into clients. It's simply just a blank canvas, and then you need to create the system within that canvas so that it becomes a lot easier for you to implement said system and stay organized using this very specific tool, which is your CRM. And that really leads us into the point of today's little video, which is what is the actual system that you can use to properly nurture leads and convert them into prospects and then into clients. So let me hop back into the iPad and let's break down this system together. Now, step one, all CRMs, they have deals or deal stages for every single contact that you have. And it's really just an easy way to stay organized. But the deal stages are really where the sweet spot of a system come into play. And let me define the deal stages that I like to use for the sake of my system. And then you can just take it, run with it, maybe play around with it so that you can make it unique to your business. Okay, so to start things off, there's really eight main stages, eight main deal stages that I look at. And those stages are: number one, the hot lead; number two, the first touch; number three, the second touch; number four, the third touch; number five, contact and nurturing; number six, closed won; number seven, closed lost; and then number eight, cold. All right, now the way I use my CRM, it's a lot like this. When a new lead is captured, a deal is automatically created and then added into the hot column. So let's say, for example, let's get this new lead and call him John Smith. Now, typically what I'll do is once this lead is captured on day one, I will try to reach out to John via phone call, via email, and via text message to try to spark a conversation. Now, if I'm not able to reach John, then I will move him to the second stage, which is first touch, which means that the following day, I'm going to try to reach out to him again. Then I'll move him to the second touch. Then if I'm not still able to reach him again, then I'll move him to the third touch. And then if I'm not able to reach him again, after my third attempt, or really that third touch, then essentially I'm going to move John Smith to cold. Now, conversely, if me and John actually have a conversation, then I'm not going to move him to the cold. I'm actually going to move him to contact nurtured, because that means that I've had a conversation with John, and maybe we can, or I'm still nurturing him to try to get things to work, to maybe see if that we can do business together. And if John actually agrees to do business with me, then I'm going to move John over to closed one. And this is essentially a sign that John has decided to go with me, or to work with me, and has become officially a client. And lastly, the only other column that I have to talk about is the close loss column. Now, I typically put a lead into the close loss column if one of two things are true. Number one, if John tells me to F off and get lost, because obviously it's a lot harder to convert someone that is completely not interested than actually convert someone that is. So I won't even bother John if he just says, like, leave me alone. And then number two is, to be quite honest, if they die. Yeah, I know it sounds a little morbid, but you know, a lead is not actually dead unless they're actually dead. Anyway, so there's one last thing I do want to mention with regard to this little system, and it's something I alluded to earlier. It's that leads, prospects, and clients all require a different type of communication. So if we're looking at how kind of this system plays out, this is the way I look at what a lead is, or what category a lead falls into. So a lead is typically the hot lead, the first touch, the second touch, the third touch, and cold. A prospect is someone that's actually shown interest in working with me, and I've been able to have a conversation with them. That person would fall under contacted nurture. And then of course, we have a closed one, meaning that this person converted into a client. One more thing to note, and that is the cold column here, the cold deal stage. Now, interesting thing about the cold deal stage, I do this thing, it's called lifetime nurture. And the idea behind lifetime nurture is that I have a system in place that's constantly dripping value on these leads on a daily basis. And all these pieces of value, they have a call to action. And if this lead is super dead cold, I haven't talked to them in like months or maybe a year or multiple years, maybe this one piece of value and this one call to action will actually get them to respond, will actually get them to want to raise their hand, because there's typically the now people and the not now people. Maybe that not now person might become a now person. And if that's the case, then that's super awesome and that's great. And let's say John Smith here is in the cold lead. They raise their hand, then essentially what would happen is I would move John over to that first touch and then cycle through John until I get back to, or until I can get him to contact and nurture again, and then hopefully convert him into a client. And if not, then John goes back to that cold column. Oh, and real quick about this contacted nurture column. It's actually a really important column, because by definition, these people are actually considered prospects. So my strategy and intention with these types of people, or these types of contacts, is to continue the conversation and find out whatever roadblocks or challenges they are facing, so that I can provide a custom piece of value to help them overcome those roadblocks. So this means not bombarding them with daily emails, but maybe tapering down, still providing value, but really being more intentional with my conversation. So the cadence is definitely not going to be daily, but it's enough to stay top of mind. And then lastly, if we're talking about the closed one column, these are essentially clients. Now, my strategy for communicating with clients is completely different from leads or prospects, because these people have already agreed to work with me. So my cadence for communicating with them is actually going to be completely different than that of what's going to be required for me to bombard a lead to get them to raise their hand, or maybe to nurture a lead to spark a conversation and convert them into a client. So these two columns here, the I'd say prospect column and the client column, actually receive different types of messages than just regular generic old leads. Anyway, I hope this is making sense to you. And if you want me to break down the type of lead nurture sequences that I have for my leads, happy to do it for you. Just drop the words nurture in the comments section, and I'll be happy to make another video breaking that down. But in any case, if you have any questions about any of this stuff, highly recommend you join our free Facebook group. Leaving the link in the description below. We talk about all this stuff more in depth in there. Anyways, if you found value in this video, make sure you check out this one here.